So there I was, standing in the hallway of my fiancé's parents' house on Thanksgiving, frozen in place, listening to the people who were supposed to become my family absolutely tear me apart. And the worst part? My fiancé, the man I was supposed to marry in 3 months, wasn't defending me. He was laughing along with them. I need to share this story because what happened next changed my entire life, and honestly, I'm still processing it. But before we get into the absolute chaos that unfolded, let me take you back to where it all started. My name's Sarah, and 6 months ago, I thought I had everything figured out. I was engaged to Derek, a guy I'd been dating for 3 years. He seemed perfect on paper. Good job, charming, came from what I thought was a close-knit family. We'd set a wedding date for February, and I was genuinely excited about becoming his wife. Now, I'll be honest with you, there were small signs that Derek's family wasn't exactly warm toward me, but I chalked it up to them being protective. His mom, Patricia, always had this tight smile when she looked at me, like she was forcing herself to be polite. His dad, Richard, barely acknowledged my presence, and his sister, Amanda, she'd look me up and down every time we met, like she was judging everything, from my hair to my shoes. But Derek always reassured me. "They're just like that with everyone," he'd say. "Give 'em time, they'll warm up to you." So I did what any hopeful future daughter-in-law would do. I tried harder. I brought gifts, I volunteered to help with family events, I smiled through the awkward dinners. I was determined to win them over. When Patricia invited us to Thanksgiving, I actually got excited. This felt like progress. She specifically mentioned that she wanted to get to know me better before the wedding. Derek seemed pleased too, saying his mom was finally making an effort. I spent days planning what to bring, what to wear, practicing conversations in my head. I even bought a beautiful pie from this fancy bakery because I'd heard Patricia loved desserts. The morning of Thanksgiving, I woke up with butterflies in my stomach. Good butterflies, you know? The kind you get when you think something important is about to happen. I put on a lovely burgundy dress, nothing too fancy, but nice enough for a family dinner. Derek picked me up, and during the drive to their parents' house, he kept telling me how great this was going to be. "Mom's really excited you're coming," he said, squeezing my hand. "I think this is going to be the day everything clicks." If only I'd known what clicking actually meant. We arrived at their parents' place around 2 in the afternoon. It's this beautiful colonial-style house in the suburbs, the kind with a perfect lawn and seasonal decorations that look like they came straight out of a magazine. Patricia answered the door wearing an apron and that same tight smile I'd come to recognize. "Sarah, Derek, come in. We're so glad you could make it," she said, her voice dripping with artificial sweetness that I'd mistaken for genuine warmth. The house smelled amazing, turkey and stuffing and all those traditional Thanksgiving scents that make you feel nostalgic. Amanda was there with her husband, James. Richard was in the living room watching football. Everything seemed normal, maybe even nice. For the first hour, things actually went okay. I helped Patricia in the kitchen, trying to make conversation about the wedding. She asked surface-level questions about the venue and the guest list, nodding along but never quite meeting my eyes. I should have noticed that every time I mentioned the wedding, her jaw tightened slightly, but I was so focused on making a good impression that I missed all the signals. Around 4 o'clock, dinner was almost ready, and I excused myself to use the bathroom. Their house is pretty big, and the main bathroom downstairs was occupied, so Patricia directed me to use the one upstairs. "Second door on the left," she said, waving her hand dismissively. I headed upstairs, used the bathroom, and was washing my hands when I heard it. Voices coming downstairs. Now, the thing about their house is that there's this weird acoustic thing where sound travels up through the heating vents. I'd never noticed it before, but standing in that upstairs bathroom, I could hear the kitchen conversation clear as day. And what I heard made my blood run cold. "I still can't believe Derek's actually going through with this wedding." That was Amanda's voice, dripping with disdain. "Tell me about it," responded Patricia. "I've tried dropping hints, but he won't listen. He's completely blind when it comes to her." My heart started pounding. I knew I should walk away, head back downstairs, pretend I hadn't heard anything, but I couldn't move. I was literally frozen, my hand still on the sink faucet, water running, just listening. Richard's voice joined in. The girl's got nothing to offer. No family money, works some basic office job. What does Derek see in her? She's not even pretty, added Amanda with a laugh. That dress she's wearing today looks like she got it from a clearance rack. And did you see her shoes? I looked down at my outfit, the dress I'd spent an hour choosing, the shoes I'd bought specifically for today. My eyes started burning with tears, but I kept listening. I needed to hear the truth. I needed to know the truth. Patricia sighed dramatically. The worst part is that she's going to drag Derek down. He could do so much better. Remember that girl he dated before, Melissa? Now she was from a good family. Country club members, educated, sophisticated. Maybe he'll come to his senses before February, Richard said. 3 months is plenty of time for him to realize his mistake. And then I heard Derek's voice, my fiancé, the man who was supposed to love and protect me.
Come on, guys, she's not that bad. Not that bad. Those words hit me like a physical blow. He didn't defend me, he didn't shut them down, he just said I wasn't that bad, like I was some mediocre option he'd settled for. Amanda laughed. Not that bad? Derek, seriously? You're marrying her out of what? Pity? Convenience? You can't actually be in love with her. There was a pause. A long, horrible pause where I held my breath, waiting for Derek to tell his sister she was wrong, that he loved me, that they needed to stop talking about me like this. Instead, he said, "Look, she's nice. She's stable. After everything with Melissa, I just wanted something easy. No drama, no complications. Sarah's comfortable." Comfortable. Like a worn-in pair of slippers, like something you keep around because it's there, not because you actually want it. Patricia's voice softened, almost sympathetic. Derek, honey, comfortable isn't enough for a marriage. You're gonna wake up in 10 years and resent her. Is that really what you want? Mom, I've already sent out the invitations. The venue's booked. Backing out now would be humiliating. More humiliating than a divorce in 5 years? Richard asked, because that's where this is heading. I finally shut off the water and just stood there, gripping the edge of the sink, tears streaming down my face. 3 years. 3 years I'd spent with this man, and he thought I was comfortable and easy. He was marrying me because he didn't want to be embarrassed by canceling a wedding, not because he actually loved me. In that moment, something inside me shifted. The sad, desperate-to-please version of Sarah died right there in that upstairs bathroom. What replaced her was someone I didn't fully recognize yet, but someone I knew I needed to become. A woman who wouldn't accept being someone's convenient choice. I looked at myself in the mirror. My makeup was smudged from crying, but I wiped my tears, fixed my face, and made a decision. I wasn't going to make a scene. Not yet. I was going to go back downstairs, sit through this Thanksgiving dinner, and then I was going to end this relationship on my own terms. I took a deep breath, composed myself, and headed back downstairs. Walking back into that kitchen was one of the hardest things I've ever done. They all looked up as I entered, and I swear I saw a flicker of something in Patricia's eyes. Maybe she suspected I'd heard something. But I just smiled. That same fake smile I'd seen on her face so many times. "Sorry I took so long," I said, my voice remarkably steady. "Shall we eat?" Dinner was surreal. I sat there, eating turkey and stuffing, passing dishes, making small talk, all while my entire world was crumbling inside. Derek kept touching my hand, completely oblivious. Amanda made passive-aggressive comments about the wedding that I now understood weren't jokes, but actual jabs. Patricia asked me questions about my family in that condescending tone that I'd always tried to ignore. And I played along. I laughed at Richard's bad jokes. I complimented Patricia's cooking. I acted like everything was perfectly fine while mentally planning my exit strategy. When dinner finally ended, Derek and I said our goodbyes. Patricia hugged me, and I felt sick to my stomach. "So lovely having you, dear. We should do this more often." In the car, Derek was in a great mood. "See, I told you they'd warm up to you. Mom really seemed to enjoy having you there." I just nodded, staring out the window. Inside, I was screaming. "You okay?" he asked, glancing over at me. "You've been quiet." "Just tired," I lied. "It was a long day." He accepted that answer, turning on the radio and humming along. He had no idea that the woman sitting next to him had already left him in her heart. When we got to my apartment, he walked me to the door. "I'll call you tomorrow," he said, leaning in for a kiss. I turned my head so his lips caught my cheek instead. "Sure. Good night, Derek." If he noticed anything was off, he didn't mention it. He just smiled and headed back to his car. I walked into my apartment, locked the door behind me, and finally let myself break down. I cried for hours. I cried for the time I'd wasted. I cried for the future I'd imagined that would never happen. I cried for the girl I'd been who thought love meant trying harder and being nicer and winning people over. But by midnight, I was done crying. I made myself a cup of tea, sat down at my kitchen table, and started making a plan. First thing Friday morning, I called the venue. Thankfully, because we were still 3 months out, I could get most of our deposit back. Then I called the caterer, the photographer, the florist. One by one, I canceled everything. Each phone call felt like taking back a piece of myself. On Saturday, I called Derek and asked him to come over. I told him we needed to talk about the wedding. He showed up with coffee and donuts, thinking we were going to discuss seating arrangements or something. He walked in smiling. "Hey, babe, what's up? You sounded serious on the phone." I was sitting on my couch, and I didn't stand up to greet him. I just looked at him, this man I'd thought I'd spend my life with, and said, "The wedding's off." His smile faltered. "What? Is this a joke?" "No joke, Derek. I'm calling off the wedding. And the relationship. We're done." He set down the coffee, looking genuinely confused. "Where is this coming from? We had a great Thanksgiving. Everything's been fine." "Everything's been fine?" I repeated, my voice getting louder. "Derek, I heard you at Thanksgiving. I heard everything." His color drained from his face. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I was upstairs and I heard you and your family talking about me in the kitchen. I heard every single word." He started stammering, trying to figure out what to say. "Sarah, look, whatever you heard, I'm sure it's not what you think. I heard your mother say I have nothing to offer. I heard your father say I'm not pretty enough. I heard your sister mock my clothes. And I heard you, Derek. I heard you say I'm comfortable and easy, that you're marrying me because you don't want to be embarrassed by canceling." He sat down heavily on my couch, his head in his hands. "Sarah, they were pushing my buttons. I was trying to get them to back off." "By agreeing with them? By not defending me even once? Derek, you're supposed to be on my side. You're supposed to protect me from people who tear me down, not join them." "I do love you," he said weakly. "No, you don't. You might like me, you might find me convenient, but you don't love me. Because if you loved me, you would have shut that conversation down immediately. You would have told your family that I'm the woman you chose, and they needed to respect that." He tried to argue, tried to minimize what had happened. Every family talks about their in-laws. It doesn't mean anything. No, Derek, not every family brutally insults their in-laws while the person they're supposed to love sits there and nods along. And you know what the saddest part is? I spent 3 years trying to make your family like me. 3 years bending over backward, bringing gifts, volunteering to help, smiling through their condescension, and the whole time you knew they didn't respect me. You knew, and you let me keep trying. "What do you want me to do?" he asked, and he actually sounded annoyed now, like I was being unreasonable. "I want you to leave. I've already canceled everything for the wedding, the venue, the caterers, all of it. We can split any remaining costs. But I'm done." He stood up, anger replacing confusion.
You're making a huge mistake. You're throwing away 3 years because of one conversation? No, Derek. You threw away 3 years when you decided I was good enough to marry but not good enough to defend. He left, slamming the door behind him. And you know what? I felt relieved. The next few weeks were hard. Derek tried calling and texting, alternating between apologies and accusations. His family even reached out, with Patricia sending me a passive-aggressive message about how disappointed they were that I was giving up so easily. I blocked all of them. My own family and friends were amazing. When I told them what happened, they rallied around me. My mom actually cried because she'd never liked Derek but hadn't wanted to say anything. My best friend took me out and we burned all the wedding planning materials in a metal trash can in her backyard. It was therapeutic. I'm not going to lie and say everything was immediately better. For months, I struggled. I questioned my decision. I wondered if I'd overreacted, if I should have given Derek another chance to prove himself. But then I'd remember sitting at that Thanksgiving table, knowing what they all really thought of me, watching Derek laugh and joke with them like nothing was wrong. And I'd remember that I deserved better than being someone's comfortable choice. It's been 8 months now since I called off that wedding, and I'm genuinely happy. I got a promotion at work, I started taking pottery classes, I rekindled friendships I'd let slide while I was so focused on making Derek's family like me. I learned how to be alone without being lonely. Here's the kicker, though. Last month, I ran into Amanda at a coffee shop. She tried to ignore me, but I walked right up to her. "Amanda," I said. She looked uncomfortable. "Sarah, hi." I just want to say thank you. Thank you for showing me who you all really are. You saved me from making the biggest mistake of my life. Her face went red. Derek really did care about you, you know. Maybe, but not enough. And I deserve someone who cares about me more than enough. I deserve someone who thinks I'm spectacular, not comfortable.
Looking back, there were so many red flags I ignored. The way Derek never really stood up for me when his family made those jokes. The way he'd get defensive whenever I brought up how uncomfortable I felt around them. The way he prioritized their opinions over my feelings. I learned that love shouldn't require you to shrink yourself to fit into someone else's life. It shouldn't mean constantly auditioning for approval from people who have already decided you're not good enough. I learned that sometimes the worst thing that can happen to you turns out to be the best thing. If I hadn't heard that conversation, I would have married Derek. I would have spent years, maybe decades, in a marriage where I was never truly valued. I would have become that bitter, resentful person Patricia predicted, wondering why my husband didn't really love me. Oh, and here's something I haven't mentioned yet. About 3 months after we broke up, I found out through mutual friends that Derek had started dating someone new. Guess who? Melissa. Yeah, the ex-girlfriend his parents loved so much. At first, that hurt, but then I realized it was perfect. They deserved each other. Derek got his impressive girlfriend who came from the right family and said the right things, and I got my freedom. Honestly, I hope they're happy together. I hope Derek never has a moment of clarity where he realizes what he lost. Because I don't want him back. I don't want his apology. I don't want his regrets. I just want him to be part of my past, nothing more. These days, I'm seeing someone new. His name's Michael, and he's different. When I told him this whole story on our 3rd date, you know what he said? "Their loss. I can't imagine being around you and not being proud to call you mine." And when I met his family last month, his mom hugged me and told me she was so glad her son had found someone who made him laugh. His dad asked about my job and actually listened to my answers. His sister friended me on social media and started sending me memes. It was so shockingly normal and kind that I almost didn't know how to handle it. I'm sharing this story because I know there are people out there who are in relationships where they're not truly valued. Maybe you're constantly trying to win over your partner's family. Maybe you're always the one compromising, always the one apologizing, always the one working harder. And I want you to know, you deserve better. You deserve someone who thinks you're amazing, not convenient. Someone who defends you when you're not in the room, not tears you down. Someone whose family welcomes you because their son or daughter loves you, not in spite of it. Don't settle for being someone's backup plan or their easy option.
Don't waste years trying to prove your worth to people who have already decided you're not enough. Because here's the truth. You are enough. You were always enough. The right people will see that immediately. If you're in a situation like I was, where you're constantly bending over backward for people who don't appreciate you, please hear me. It's okay to walk away. It's okay to choose yourself. It's okay to say, I deserve better than this, and mean it. Will it be hard? Yes. Will there be moments where you question your decision? Absolutely. Will people tell you you're overreacting or being too sensitive? Probably. But staying in a relationship where you're not truly loved and respected? That's harder. That's a lifetime of small rejections and quiet disappointments. That's slowly losing yourself trying to become someone else's idea of acceptable. I refuse to live like that, and you should too. Sometimes I think about that Thanksgiving. I think about standing in that bathroom, heartbreaking, world falling apart, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful I heard that conversation. I'm grateful I had the strength to walk away. I'm grateful for every difficult moment that followed, because each one taught me something about my own worth. That February date when I was supposed to get married, I spent it on a beach vacation with my best friends. We drank margaritas, watched the sunset, and celebrated the life I'd chosen for myself instead of the one I'd almost settled for. And not once, not for a single second, did I regret my decision. So, if you take anything from my story, let it be this. Never let anyone make you feel like you're not enough. Never accept being someone's comfortable choice. Never stay somewhere you're not celebrated, not just tolerated. Because life is too short to spend it with people who make you feel small. Thanks for listening to my story. If it resonated with you or if you've been through something similar, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your experiences. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, please share this video with them. Sometimes we all need a reminder that we deserve better. Sometimes we need permission to walk away from things that aren't serving us. Consider this, that permission. You deserve a love that's proud and loud and sure. Don't settle for anything less. Take care of yourselves. And remember, you're not comfortable. You're extraordinary. The right person will know that without you having to prove it.